here.
What's up, everybody? It's your favorite Marvel's Greatest Hits favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the Marvel Legend 2-pack. I think it's a Toys R Us exclusive of the Hydra Enforcer and the Hydra Soldier. There's a ton of accessories. We're going to talk about them all. We're going to talk about why I say this is a greatest hits venture, and ultimately I think it does work, but we're going to talk about why it works. And I'm kind of excited to take a look at this. This is all known to me from Pinkerton If You're Nasty. He heads up Crashbox Customs. That link will be in the description. He usually has a pretty good line on toys, and he makes one heck of a diorama, so definitely be sure to check him out. And as for me, I'm going to check out these accessories. All right, so option-wise, it comes with this vest. Now, this vest doesn't have the like push-in mold that say, let's look at the other one. This one does. Like, you see how it gets kind of smushed in against the collarbone, so I'm not sure exactly how it'll fit. I'm not going to take the other one off to take a look, because I don't know ultimately what his plan is, but you do get a little silver on the buckle, and that's about it. It's pretty much just an option piece. Speaking of options, you get two repainted heads. So one is the Taskmaster kind of head with the, let's see, it's a yellow plastic, so the black is painted on, the red is painted on, and then the green hood is a separate piece that's kind of just mounted on, which is cool. A thoughtful accessory. And then you get a shield helmet repaint, and that's nice as well. This is a black plastic with the army green painted on, and then the red painted on. The red gets a little outside of the lines there, here and there, but for the most part, this is pretty good as well. And then you get two guns, one for each of you, both cast in just this silver plastic or this gray plastic. Nice sculpt work, but not a lick of paint. And if you're a customizer or whatever, you can really bring this thing to life with some paint accents, because the sculpt is really good on this one. And then you get this one, which also has this drum that can be inserted. And it's cool that the drum even has the bullets in it, and then it has this Hydra symbol kind of painted on there. All that stuff is cool. And once again, nice sculpt, no paint, but aside from the Hydra thing, which does look great. And it stays in nice with the tension. That's it's a nicer accessory than I would necessarily have predicted. And then we have the Hydra Soldier himself, which we've seen before. This is my personal one. This one has some green on his nose. This one doesn't. This one has the Tampo paint on the shoulders. This one doesn't. The greens are slightly different. The yellows are pretty much the same, but his belts and stuff are a bit darker, and his gloves are a bit lighter. So there are minor differences, but for the most part, it's pretty much the same. Let's take a look at him, because we haven't reviewed this figure here yet. So we have the red paint and the flesh tone paint on the face, which looks fine. Head is on a ball joint on a hinge, so you get up to there. It breaks the sculpt to pieces. You can get to about there with it still looking good. And then you can get all the way down, breaks the sculpt to pieces, and about there, still looking good. Plus the swivel, so all that works. We have this soft plastic thing for the vest piece with the silver and black paint on there, which looks good. You can align it with the peg in the back. Waist swivel, ab crunch down and back. Disc hinge shoulder up to there, around. Bicep swivel, double jointed elbow. Wrist swivel, hinge in, out. Same for the other side. We have two holding hands, but we do have two guns, and each gun has like a separate handle, so this ultimately works for me. And the Tampo paint, as we discussed on the Hydra patches, looks fantastic. All right, so we have T-jointed ball joints for hips. They get you out to there, forward and back to there. Thigh swivel. Double jointed knee. This leg is bowed also, and I think it's mainly due to packaging. They really got to be careful of that. I'm seeing that more and more with Hasbro stuff. Shin swivel and ankle tilt down, up, and rocker. Sculpt-wise, we got some detailings on the shoe, and that's about it. And the rest is just musculature. The paint lines for the gloves they're a little fuzzy. You know, it's yellow on top of green, so it's hard to do, so I can appreciate that, but it is a little fuzzy, and I think that's about all we need to talk about with this fella. Now, as far as the Enforcer, and look, all these guns are probably interchangeable. You just got to make the hands grip around them. I'm just splitting them up because it seems like, you know, a decent way to split them up. Once again, we have a darker gray plastic cast for these two, which is interesting to me because that means they were cut off like a whole different sprue, you know? Like, that's kind of interesting. I don't know why I find that surprising, but I do. Not a lick of paint, but once again, a brilliant sculpt, and they could probably get a lot out of this, or you could get a lot out of this if you would throw some paint on it. Same for this one. This one's a little warped but it's you know, and it's a little space age for my kind of tastes and sensibilities, but it couldn't theoretically make sense for a Hydra agent, so I'm okay with it, but it's just not my favorite. The sculpt is nice enough. It's just the kind of approach in general that's not for me, but it's you know, it's good enough. And then he also comes with a knife, and this is that gray plastic like we saw with the other ones, I think. And then we have the black paint added, and this can go in his like holster here in the back, so that's cool. He also gets two heads. One is the nuke head. I think this was the nuke head. I could be wrong. Either way, I've seen this head before. Nice paint though. We have the scar that's painted well. The eye is painted all white. This eye is painted with the pupil and iris, and then the eyebrows are painted. The teeth are painted. I think this eyebrow actually goes beyond what's intended for it. Let me see if I can find my little pointer. This will do. So, like, this eyebrow comes up and back over here, but I think the sculpt for the eyebrow is actually down here. Not a big deal, but something worth pointing out. And the other one looks a little bit better. And then the hair is painted and sculpted well enough. There is like a darker shade of something up in that hair, but that's probably an individual results with very decent enough sculpt. And then we have this one, which I'm not sure where this one comes from, but the lips are painted. The 5 o'clock shadow is painted the same color as the hair. There's absolutely no sculpt variation between the hair and the beard, which I do find to be a little strange. Like, it almost looks like he's wearing a mask. So that's not done the best. And his ears are huge, but you know, some people have huge ears, so it's all good. No offense. And then we have this guy, which is pretty much Captain Britain in a vest and some belts. But it is painted nice. The yellow paint done on the head, the eyes inside is painted black, and then the eyeballs are painted red. The face is painted. It's on a ball hinge, down, up, and that all looks good. And the swivel, the vest, you can unpeg here and take off if you'd like for a different variation. But you're going to have these weird kind of indents in the collarbone. Might be worth it though. And then we have the grenades that are painted and glued on, and then these bits here which are painted red, and this is a separate piece that's glued on as well. Waist swivel still works. Ab crunch still works, so that's impressive. And then we have a disc hinge shoulder with the Hydra tampos done on the side, and then they get you up to there, around, bicep swivel, double jointed elbow, wrist swivel, hinge in out on a holding hand. Same for this. Neither of them have a trigger hand. However, there's more than enough guns without triggers with this set where I'm also okay with it. Same sort of issue with the glove paint as a heads up. Silver paint on the buckles. This is a floating belt, but it's sculpted well enough. Softer plastic for T-jointed ball joints to get you a great range. These legs are not Captain Britain's because this is like a army leg, and I guess this is right. Has to be. Yeah, it looks a little strange to me though. Thigh swivel. We get T-jointed ball joints out to there, forward and back to there, so decent range. Kind of feel like they should have done something to the knee pads here and maybe this little piece around it. See, that probably didn't have anything to do with the character. They were just reusing it for the mold, but I think even if they would have painted it yellow, it would have looked nicer. Oh well. Double jointed knee. Get you back to there. Boot swivel. The boots are sculpted well, no paint on them. Ankle tilt up, down, rocker. So they work really well. I think that these both work fairly well in terms of like a troop building option, but we're getting ready to talk a little bit more about that. So look, ultimately, I don't know anything about these characters really. Like, I mean, I know who they are, but I don't really know a whole lot about Hydra in the comics. Like, I was never a big Avengers fan. I was never really a huge Marvel fan. And when I did read Marvel, I read Wolverine, X-Men, and Spider-Man. I think like most kind of gateway comic kids. And then I got into DC, and then I kind of didn't read Marvel as much anymore. But I do think they're cool. I just don't have any need to really troop build these guys. However, the beauty of this set is that they take into account the collector. The collector likes variety. He likes variation, or she. That's fine too. In this set, each of them offers you 2 different heads. Each of them offers a number of different accessories and kind of bells and whistles where, you know, you can buy 3 of these sets to yield 6 figures, along with the one that you probably already bought. And that gives you a team of 7 Hydra agents, and that's just scratching the surface in terms of using all the different varieties. Then within that, you can swap pieces back and forth, and you can get probably as many as you want out of it. Have a varied team with different looks that all look unified under that green and yellow sort of badge. And I think that's incredibly smart, and I think it's cool and a cool option for a collector if you're really into them. So I definitely recommend them. I think it's worth picking up 2 sets, honestly, if you're a hardcore Hydra fan. Like, if you like Hydra the way that I like the Empire, I have 173 Stormtroopers, Mac. It might be worth looking into buying a few of these boxes, if you know what I'm saying. So I do recommend them. I do think they're a cool set. It's at the end of the day, it's not important enough for me, but I almost feel like it's a must-have if you're heavy into Marvel Legends or heavy into kind of a Hydra shelf. I think it's almost a must-have. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.